Hello kings and queens and everyone in between, my name is JJ and welcome to ScinKraft. Okay, so there's a new at-home handheld radiofrequency device that claims it can give you a version of what in-clinic medical grade radiofrequency can do for your skin without the use of messy conductive gel and without the hefty price tag. And honestly, when I first heard that, I thought, is this real or is this just marketing? So today, I want to do a full deep dive on the actual science behind radiofrequency skin tightening and how it interacts with the skin on a cellular level. And then we're going to be breaking down the brand new MimiSilk Vera RF Sculpt. The Vera is MimiSilk's latest addition to their at-home beauty device lineup. So today we'll be taking a very close look at Vera's specs, how it differs from other at-home radiofrequency skincare devices, and whether this device is worth your time. So if you're interested in radiofrequency skin tightening and the brand new Vera device, make sure you're subscribed because I'm also going to be following this video up with a future demo and how-to video as well as a results video. So if you're interested in seeing a step-by-step guide on how to properly use the Vera as well as my results video, make sure you're following along. And as always, I have a great discount code for you guys. I'll leave it in the description below in case you're interested in purchasing the Vera for yourself. So now let's jump into radiofrequency and how it interacts with your skin. So essentially your skin has two main layers, the epidermis, which we can touch, see, and feel, and then of course the dermis, which is the deeper layer of the skin where all of your fibroblast cells live along with your collagen and elastin. Collagen is the protein within our skin that keeps our skin firm and dense, and then elastin is the protein in the skin that keeps it tight and resilient. But unfortunately, after about age 26 to 28, our fibroblast cells go dormant, stop producing collagen and elastin unless otherwise prompted to do so, and we sort of lose collagen every year. This can lead to loss of volume, loss of structure, and loss of elasticity. However, radiofrequency works on a very simple principle. It introduces heat into the deeper layer of the skin known as the dermis, it wakes up the fibroblast cells, and it prompts them to spit out new collagen and elastin seedlings. In addition to this, when your existing collagen and existing elastin fibers are exposed to the energy from the radiofrequency, they recoil and sort of shrink wrap, and this gives you a little bit of instantaneous tightening post-treatment, while you wait for the new collagen and elastin to come in over the course of 3 to 6 months to show you a fuller result. One thing to note is that collagen is a lot easier to create than elastin is. And radiofrequency energy is one of the only modalities that's been scientifically proven to recondition existing elastin and also help to promote new tropoelastin. Again, it's not as easy to create elastin as collagen, but radiofrequency shows real promise in this regard. Now, it's important to note that not all radiofrequency is created equal. There are a lot of variables between one radiofrequency device to another, and some of those variables can be dependent on whether or not you're doing an in-clinic treatment or doing an at-home treatment. Most in-clinic machines, such as Thermage, Zerf, or Density, are going to be using monopolar radiofrequency. Monopolar radiofrequency is typically much stronger than alternatives, and it goes a lot deeper, so you want to make sure you're being very safe when using these treatments, and make sure you're seeking out an entrusted provider. Although these platforms can deliver phenomenal results, in the wrong hands, it could do the opposite. In the right hands, you can expect a lot more collagen synthesis, elastin formation, reconditioning of those aforementioned proteins. However, in the wrong hands, you can see facial fat atrophy or even surface burns. So just simply vet your provider and make sure you're in the right hands and getting the best result. Multipolar radiofrequency, on the other hand, works a little bit differently than monopolar radiofrequency. With multipolar radiofrequency, you have multiple prongs on the handpiece. And when these prongs on the handpiece are emitting radiofrequency into the skin, it emits it into the skin, but then it pulls it right back up through a neighboring prong. So it keeps the energy in a fluid motion and doesn't allow it to go too deep. And this is really important when you're trying to control the depth of the energy and also ensure that you're only hitting the certain layers of skin that you intend to. Now, don't get me wrong, monopolar radiofrequency can be extremely beneficial and in the right hands yield phenomenal results, but bipolar or multipolar radiofrequency tends to be a little bit more forgiving with those parameters. This is also why you'll only see multipolar devices for in-home use. They're safe and effective with continued use, and you get nice gradual results over time with repeated treatments. Then there's the question of how the device actually makes contact with your skin. 9.5 out of 10 devices are going to need conductive coupling gel to make sure that the energy transfers through the skin properly. However, some newer devices use capacitive coupling instead to allow the energy to properly transform through the skin and reach the depths necessary without using conductive gel. You'll usually only see this with newer devices with the latest technology housed within the device. So with that framework in mind, let's actually dive into the Vera. Can you guess what time it is? It's time to show you the new Vera. I mean, really, what kind of friend would I be if I didn't share my new toys? Okay, as you know, and as I've mentioned, I love shiny things, and this box is gorgeous. It's almost like holographic, but it's sort of muted, so it's really elegant. So this box is really easy to open. It opens from the side, much like the updated Iris. And nestled inside, of course, you're gonna see the Vera. And once removed, you have your little pull tab, so you can just pull this out And the little nook inside is going to house everything else you're going to need. MimiSilk was kind enough to send me a PDRN mask with my Vera. You have your quick start guide, as always, so you can jump right into things. And then you also have a couple of boxes here. In your first box, you're going to have your power cord. One thing I didn't mention earlier is that this device plugs in. Remember when devices used to plug in so they could work forever instead of relying on a battery that can potentially degrade over time? There are some devices that operate a lot better with a rechargeable battery, and I'm not mad at that. I actually just kind of miss being able to plug my devices in, but plugging a radio frequency device in is really important, especially when it delivers different varying amounts of energy throughout the power cycle and throughout your treatment. You want to make sure you maintain optimal power and that you're not having varied degrees of power based on the battery's charge. And then in your second box, you're gonna have your travel case, which is really, really soft, your cleansing cloth, and then you're gonna have a much more thorough instruction manual as well. So I'm gonna show you a couple close-ups of the Vera so you can have a visual aid as to when I'm talking about the Vera throughout the video. So as you can see here, you have your treatment head, and within your treatment head, you have 4 different prongs that are all gonna be emitting radio frequency energy into the skin. And they all share energy and talk to each other as well. This is going to ensure a nice cohesive treatment and also ensure temperature thresholds on the surface of the skin. It also dictates the power output for certain quadrants of the face as well. Directly under your treatment head, you have 2 different buttons. One button's gonna be to turn the Vera on, and your second button's going to be to cycle through the different power densities. I also like the way that it's ergonomically designed to fit nicely into the hand and ensure that you're not getting tired throughout your treatment. On the bottom, you can see here, this is the port for your power cord. And the moment you come in contact with the skin when the device is turned on, it'll start emitting the radio frequency energy. You're gonna start to feel a gentle, mild, warm sensation in the deeper layers of your skin that will get a little bit more intense throughout each second that you hold it there until you hear the beeps come on. When the beeps sound off, you know to reposition your device to a different quadrant. And after you're done with treatment, clean up as a breeze because again, there's no gel involved. So simply wipe the treatment head and store the Vera for your next use. So this is genuinely the first radio frequency device that I've ever used. It doesn't require conductive gel. You can use it on dry skin, and that's pretty revolutionary considering it's an at-home device. So let's actually get into the specs because this is what sets Vera apart from other radio frequency devices. It operates at 6.25 megahertz, and for a bit of context, most at-home devices only run on 1 megahertz. And that jump in megahertz matters because a higher frequency means that the energy is oscillating a lot faster and being absorbed more readily into the deeper layers of the skin, also known as the dermis, instead of dispersing throughout the more superficial layers where it's not really doing much for your collagen induction. And according to MimiSilk, the energy does reach between 2.5 millimeters to 3.5 millimeters, which is exactly where you want your radio frequency to be landing. That's right in the zone where you're going to be getting collagen and elastin remodeling, as well as prompting new collagen and elastin to form later. The technology behind the gel-free design is called multipolar displacement current. Instead of needing a conductive medium to carry the energy, the Vera's field will pass right through the epidermis right into the dermis. The other really cool thing about the Vera is that, unlike traditional radio frequency devices where you have to constantly keep sweeping over the area you're trying to tighten until you get to an optimal temperature, you just do the Vera in a stamping motion for about 6 to 10 seconds per zone, and once it's emitted the radio frequency energy, you just move on to the next zone. And if you've ever tried an at-home radio frequency device, then you know your wrist and arm can get really tired by having to sweep over an area for minutes and minutes on end. So I really like the innovation here and being able to deliver the energy through a stamping method versus having to continually glide over the skin. This also ensures optimal energy and heat placement as well. A stamping method is a lot more precise. I will say though that even though my wrist and my arm can get pretty tired from having to constantly move over an area with some of my other at-home radio frequency devices, it's not a complete deal breaker because I do get pretty good results from them as well. But given the Vera's new format in terms of the frequency and the stamping modality, I'm pretty excited to see what kind of results I can get with this device. Another really cool thing about the Vera is they've actually installed a dynamic impedance system, and this allows for the device to actually read resistance areas within your skin in real time to adjust the energy output. What that means is there's going to be different distances and resistances between your forehead, your cheeks, and your lower face, as well as your submental, and so it only makes sense that the device changes up its energy frequency based on those zones for you. I thought that was really cool because this tells me that this device is not only smart, it's going to be incredibly accurate as well. And on the safety side of things, it actually has a built-in temperature cap, so that makes sure that the surface of your skin doesn't exceed 47 degrees Celsius. This is really important to ensure you're not overheating the skin at any point in time. You want to make sure you're heating up the dermis and the epidermis to appropriate therapeutic temperature so you get the result you're looking for, but you don't need to go beyond that. That's when you can get into trouble, so I love that they have a built-in safety net. I also have to say that I'm really happy that MimiSilk launched the Vera because I'm extremely happy with the 1450 nanometer fractional iris laser. It's really great at helping to resurface the skin for fine lines, pore pore circumference, pigment within the skin, even acne scars, but it doesn't lift and sculpt the skin. And it's not intended to. Radiofrequency and laser are two different modalities targeting different layers of the skin, and they have different outcomes. But when you use them together, they work synergistically to give you sculpting, a lift, and resurfacing. You can't ask for more than that. Areas that I'm going to be focusing on with the Vera are definitely going to be my jawline, my submental area. Sometimes when I turn my head from side to side, this little area likes to hang a little bit lower than I want it to. So I'm really excited to see what the Vera can do there. And I'm no stranger to radiofrequency devices. I've used them throughout my entire career in medical aesthetics, and I've used them at home as well. And I've gotten some really nice results, especially around the jawline. But I'm also excited to see what I can do for my nasolabial fold area. I'd like to soften them just a little bit. Areas where I think Vera is going to perform very nicely for most everyone is definitely going to be the mid-face, around the nasolabial folds, the lower jaw area, and the submental. And although it can be used on all areas of the face, I think those are the areas most people are going to be really interested in. And with all of this good news about the Vera, I'm really happy that MimiSilk did provide me with a $120 discount code for you guys. It's in the description below along with the link. Now, we've gone over in-clinic radiofrequency treatments as well as at-home devices, and I do want to compare those two formats to see how they match up. I'm always going to be honest with you guys, so I would never tell you that an at-home device is going to get you the same level of results as an in-clinic treatment, but I can tell you with consistent use and a well-designed at-home device, you can get really noticeable results that might benefit you to the point where you don't need to go in-clinic. And if you are at an age where you need in-clinic help, you can maintain your results at home with something like the Vera. And that's one of the reasons I love all of my at-home devices, is because I can get corrective results, but I can also just maintain what I get done in clinic as well. One thing I wanted to mention, and although I haven't done extensive treatments on myself with the Vera, I have tested it out here and there, and something that I was surprised to feel in terms of the energy output is that I can feel the energy in the deeper layers of my skin. And what I mean by that is, some at-home devices, you can really feel that the energy is so superficial, it almost feels like you're just taking like an iron to your skin, and that the energy isn't actually being delivered into the dermis. With the Vera, what I did notice is I feel the heat in my deeper layers before I feel it on the surface, and that's a really good indication of a well-made device. And I say that because I've had other in-clinic treatments such as Thermage, I've also had Forma, and other ultrasound-based treatments that are similar to radiofrequency, and one thing they all have in common is that the megahertz are a little bit higher, so you feel the energy in the deeper layers of the skin, and that's an indication to me that that's where the energy should be. I have another at-home device that I'm not going to name in this video, but when I'm using it, I can definitely feel that it's really just heating the superficial layers, and that's a little disheartening because I know it's not giving me the full scope of collagen and elastin that I could be benefiting from. And I think part of the reason I was able to make that comparison between the Vera and say something like Thermage is because they have very similar frequency outputs. Again, the Vera uses a 6.25 megahertz frequency and Thermage uses a 6.78 if memory serves. So they're very similar in terms of the depth. So it only stands to reason that they're going to feel semi-similar as well. Obviously, the Thermage is going to be a lot stronger. But the one thing that I really appreciate about MimiSilk's devices is that they're predicated on in-clinic technology, and they get as close as you possibly can legally get to an in-home device giving you results that you'd see from clinic. So obviously some of the differences between an at-home device and an in-clinic device is that you're going to be able to get the results you're looking for from an in-clinic device between 1 and 3 sessions. Whereas with an at-home device, you're going to have to use it continuously, week to week, possibly month to month until you're on your off cycle to get a similar result. But in-home devices are a lot less expensive and it puts the power of the provider in your hands. So just something to think about when you're weighing the options between an at-home device or going to see someone in clinic. So let's quickly go over who the Vera would be best for. The Vera is going to be very beneficial for somebody who's looking to improve mild to moderate skin laxity, help to lift, tighten, and tone the skin around the jawline, nasolabial folds, mid-face, etc. And someone who's looking to improve the contours or recontour the contours of their face via collagen induction and elastin reconditioning. It's also going to be great for somebody who doesn't mind getting gradual, cumulative results with repeated treatment over time. And last but not least, radiofrequency is not laser and it is a colorblind energy, so it's going to be applicable for all skin types and tones, which is going to be a key indicator and deciding factor for a lot of people who prioritize safety as well as convenience when treating at home. Now let's talk about who this device may not be best for. If someone's looking for dramatic, immediate results and they want it after just 1 to possibly 2 sessions, this device may not be for you, unless you're planning on using it as maintenance post in-clinic treatment. I'd also advise on consulting your healthcare professional if you happen to be pregnant, under the age of 18, or have any metal implants within the areas of treatment. These are precautions to take no matter what type of radiofrequency device you might be undergoing. I always like to go over this stuff with you guys because I'd rather you be fully informed than find out the hard way later. So what's the verdict surrounding radiofrequency? Does radiofrequency skin tightening actually work? I think we've answered that. Yes, it's a tried and true technology that's shown great results over time and time again. I myself have had some really wonderful outcomes with in-clinic procedures, as well as maintaining my results at home with other radiofrequency devices. Does an at-home radiofrequency device perform exactly like an in-clinic treatment? No, we've established it does not. It's using a much lower energy threshold, but with continued use, you can get substantial results that you can be proud of. And at-home treatments are looking a lot more attractive now that the Vera's hit the scene, because now you can treat with a stamping method instead of tiring out your wrist. With Vera's new technology, you don't need any gel. You guys, seriously, I hate the messy gel. And you're getting very similar frequency to some in-clinic treatments. And don't forget, the Vera does scan the subdermal layers of your skin to automatically adjust the energy output from one quadrant of the face to the other. That makes it really easy to treat because it takes the guesswork out of you having to increase or decrease the power manually. Okay guys, just a friendly reminder to make sure you're subscribed so you can follow me along to my next video, which is going to be a full demo and an extensive how-to on how to properly use the Vera. And if you have any questions thus far, leave them in the comments below and I'm going to get to you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.